Hello and welcome to the THC Show, the show where we talk about truth, hope, and change in a world full of untruths and not enough change and not enough hope. We're looking for more of that. On the show today, 8 out of 10, Glenn will join us for the 420 session, and Jerry Martin will be here for the Martin Medical Moment. And this will be the show where we talk about the 4 years of the CSP, because it was 4 years right about now that we started the CSP. And, very happy that we managed to sustain it for 4 years, and that's brought us to where we are right now. In the world of news today, I hear that Canopy Growth has lost $829.3 million in their latest release. Yet they're still talking about profitability down the road somewhere. I guess that's just to keep the shareholders happy until maybe that happens and maybe it doesn't. Meanwhile, Vancouver City Council is debating at this time licensing fees and regulations around cannabis dispensaries, including railing against the illegal dispensaries and wanting the CSU to do something about that. So we'll see where that all goes. But all of this is completely crazy, of course. This world that we're in right now has been crazy for a long time. And certainly the legalization that we've been delivered by Trudeau and his cronies is just as crazy as Prohibition ever was, and in fact is probably Prohibition 2.0. What this is all about here for us is, trying to get the government of Canada to approve our low barrier access cannabis distribution system that we want to put into place here. We're trying to deal with people that are struggling with addiction and using street drugs that are poisoned with fentanyl, and we've had an overdose epidemic of deaths going on for over 5 years now. And so what we've been doing here with our project, the Cannabis Substitution Project, is trying to make it as easy as possible for people to transition off of those hard drugs by using cannabis to do that. High dose edibles, the real key to that is it'll allow people to get through withdrawal, and withdrawal is the real barrier to addiction. And I don't know if my friend Chris is watching in Winnipeg. I love you, Chris. I'm kind of glad that you backed off a bit though, because Chris has been bothering me for a long time on any thread that I put up about addiction, piping up about how addiction is not real. And I never liked that very much, because I understand that addiction really is real for individuals that are struggling with it. I mean, we are creatures of habit. That's how things all happen here. And when people, and we're addicted to all kinds of things. I mean, addiction isn't the issue. We're addicted to air and water and food and love and things, because addiction means that there's problems that you just can't stop without there being problems. But then there's problem addictions that happen, where people engage in behaviors that really aren't beneficial, that can get out of control. And in the case of opioids and other street drugs, it can really be a problem, like I say, because of the physical withdrawal that people have to go through with that. Addiction is driven primarily by trauma. At least the problem addictions are driven primarily by trauma. Trauma comes in many, many different forms: emotional trauma, physical trauma. Much of it is at an early age, where people are born into situations where they're traumatized because of the environment that they're in, or things that happen while they're in their youth. And it's a lifelong struggle to deal with those traumas that happen. And one of the ways that people deal with the traumas is they get involved in repetitive behaviors that distract them or compensate or numb the pain and all of those sorts of different things. And that's the real driver of addiction. Chris will tell you that according to Thomas Saz, there's no such thing as addiction. You don't find it on the autopsy table when you're dissecting brains. There's nothing in there that shows that there was some physical lesion or something like that was driving the addiction. So therefore it's not real. But I'm here to tell you that it is very real for a lot of people, and it's a thing that many, many people struggle with. There's many things to be addicted to in this world. It's not just drugs. I know Dr. Gabor Mate, who I credit for a lot of my understanding about how trauma is the driver behind addiction. He himself was a victim of trauma, and he acted out, and his addiction was in classical music, as crazy as that might sound. But he was buying CDs and records and things to do with classical music over and over again as a repetitive behavior, as a distraction for what he was really upset about down deep. And he would lie to his wife about it, and he would buy several copies of the same thing, and he would hide them, and all the basic markers for addiction were involved in that, and so many other behaviors as well. But when it comes to drugs, it gets a little bit harder, Because when you're using opioids repeatedly day after day, you're building new neural networks every time that you do that. And those neural networks need to be refilled every time that you're now feeding your habit. And so that becomes a very physical, symbiotic relationship with the drugs that you're taking. And it's very difficult to stop doing that without having really nasty physical results from that. And that's what keeps most people addicted to the opioids when they would otherwise like to quit. They spiral down into all sorts of different problems, especially if they can't afford their habit. They end up homeless in many cases, and down here on the downtown east side, still in pain, still dealing with trauma, and preyed upon by street dealers who will help them get things to get them through another night and not have to face the struggles of withdrawal. So what happened when the drug supply that was on the street became tainted with fentanyl about 5 years ago and people started to die was that I recognized the value of cannabis high-dose edibles to help combat that. Because 16 years ago, we opened a store, a low-barrier access store, if you will, at least a store that provided access to cannabis here on the downtown east side, half a block down from Main and Hastings. And we certainly learned there, because of the people that were accessing cannabis in the neighborhood, that the high-dose edibles were capable of getting them through the nights of withdrawal. And that became a very powerful thing for the people that we were helping and for myself in general. So that 5 years ago, when the overdose epidemic hit again here and people were dying, it became clear to me that one of the things that we needed to do to address that was to make it as easy as possible for people to get access to high-dose edibles. So at the same time in Vancouver, the city was regulating the illegal dispensaries, or putting in regulations, and one of those regulations was that they weren't allowed to sell edibles anymore. And that drove me a little bit crazy, because for me, as I said, I had an understanding that that was one of the ways out of addiction, and yet here's the city of Vancouver was deciding that they would not allow that to be available to people. So I first went to Vandu, and I asked them to allow me to go to city council with their support and try to get city council on board with a program that would allow for easy access. And I got unanimous approval from the Vandu board to do that. And so I went to city council in Vancouver and I presented it to them, but they were not interested and they wouldn't help me. And so I spent a couple months having a professional lobbyist try to get them on board. And during that time, I gathered up donations. And after I had enough, I went to Vandu and asked if I could set up a table and give them out, and I did that. And then I went about getting more donations, and I came back a week later and gave those out. And 3 Saturdays in a row, I ended up there at noon, and then the 4th Saturday in a row, I get there, and there's a long lineup of people waiting for what I have to offer, and there's a handful of people there wanting to volunteer for me. And that began the Cannabis Substitution Program in early February 4 years ago. There's so many people that have contributed to this program along the way. Like I say, it's been 4 years. We've managed to sustain it all the way through that. For 3.5 of those years, we were at Vandu, and I can't thank Vandu enough for allowing us to use their space. For the first year, we were there every Saturday, and for the following 2.5 years, we were there twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. And so on those days, we would have lineups of a couple hundred people out front through all kinds of weather. Like when you do something for years in a row, you go through winters and falls and springs and summer. And we had people in the hot sun and in the cold freezing snow and you know, all the inclement weather that comes along with that. And they were standing out on a sidewalk and they're waiting for just a care pack that we would put together and just hand them. It was never the way the program was designed. It certainly was not my intention that it would take 3.5 years before we could find ourselves a storefront and start doing it in a proper manner where people could choose for themselves what they wanted. They wouldn't have to line up for hours. They wouldn't just be given what we handed them. And we were waiting for, you know, the city to be on board with us and for that ability to happen. And after 2.5 years of our program, finally the city of Vancouver passed a motion saying that they would allow low barrier access to cannabis to offset the opioid crisis. They were basing a lot of that on work done by Dr. M.J. Malloy, and I can't thank him enough as well for the support that he's had for our program and for coming and finding out the truth about how it was working for people. And he had his people there doing interviews with the people that were getting the care packs and put together studies. He's released numerous studies. Over 50 studies have been released by Dr. M.J. Malloy. You can Google that and find those studies. And it shows that both the safety and the efficacy of cannabis as a replacement for the opioids and to get people through withdrawal and for all of that. Over the years, there's been so many other people that helped us, and I'm old now, man. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I was old when I started, and I'm not going to be able to mention everybody at all that helped us. There were so many. I hope I don't miss the big ones, but just a little list that I put together was Weeds, Glass, and Gifts. They were the first ones to give us stuff to hand out, and then the Medicinal Cannabis Dispensary was shortly behind them. Sean, you know who you are, has been so instrumental over the years and still contributing to our program with his gummy balls and gummy cubes, and so many people rely on those and find relief through those. Joe Pepper was there with her brownies almost every time. Twisted Extracts, my goodness, I can't say enough about Twisted Extracts. They allowed me to purchase off their website and hand out their gummies to people, and without them, I'm not sure our program would have been able to be sustained, because that was such a huge donation every time that we had those particular gummies to give out there. The BC Bud guys, who donated in several different ways and would show up there and do on-site dabbing for people as well. Cannabis Culture, of course, was instrumental in a number of different ways in supporting what we were doing. The Green Cross. The Green Cross is still involved with us. I can't thank them enough. They were huge supporters. They had a donation box for us in their store and other things. But once we found our storefront a year ago, or 8 months ago, a year after the city passed their motion to allow low barrier access, the Green Cross entered into a collaboration with us that they're still involved in. We have access to their testing equipment, and they have been so helpful in so many ways in helping us provide low barrier access to cannabis, and they're still a big part of what we're doing here. Michael the Cookie Monster. My goodness, that gentleman had decided before our program, right about the same time, that the cannabis edibles that he was making were really helping people, and it would help people on opioids. And he came downtown and he sought us out. Somebody said, hey, there's a program going on where they're giving it away. And he came and met with me, and still to this day, he's a huge contributor to our program. And without him, I'm not sure how we would help all the people that aren't on our list. We have 250 people that get 420 milligrams of high-dose edibles every 4 days for free. And we have a waiting list of about 300 people that we had to stop taking people on the waiting list because it was getting ridiculous. Over 300 people want into the program, and our resources are limited, so that we're able to help 250, but as yet we're still not able to expand it beyond that. And what happens when people come and they want to be on the program and they can't, we always have one of Michael's cookies for them, sometimes 2 or 3 of Michael's cookies for them, and always a free joint as well. And that's been very powerful for us, because we're not only helping the people that are part of our program, but we are able to help almost on a daily basis. In fact, for many of them, they come every day and they get their cookie and their joint. That we are able to help a number of those other people that need help and can't get onto the program to get the 420 milligrams every 4 days yet. So thank you so much to Michael the Cookie Monster, a wonderful human being. He was in schooling. He was a teacher, and yet found that cannabis high-dose edibles would help people. He's since quit that job, and he's gone full-time into baking cookies, and he helps us out, as well as OPS, as well as the Dr. Peters Center, as well as the people in his community where he lives. So thanks to Michael for that. There are so many more. Dirty Dave, can't forget Dirty Dave. He would send us caps and we had those every day for people. That was also very, very crucial for us being able to have what people needed. Of late, Mary McCarty has been our number one baker, and been so fantastic at getting us what we need to help these people out. Mary will unfortunately be going back to Ontario, and we're going to miss her and her baked goods a whole lot, but she's going to take our program there, and that's a wonderful thing as well. There's also so many volunteers, and I know that there's so many of you that helped with our program. There were so many people that donated smaller amounts, other large amounts. And I just can't name everybody, and I wouldn't want to try, because I know I would miss a whole bunch. And I'm already not going to mention probably 100 people that have helped us along the way, because this has been a real cannabis community effort of providing high-dose edibles to people down on the downtown east side. And there are just so many people. John Murray, wow, I can't say enough about John. He helps us in so many ways, and he's here with hot food for people as well on Sundays. Colleen Graham, my goodness, she gave us so many fantastic edibles, big, huge containers full. the list just goes on and on. Ms. Medibles, there's so many, and I can't name them all. And also so many volunteers that helped us along the way. Some of them are still with us, helping us run the program here. We're still operating our program. We're obviously not at Mandu anymore, but we left there when we got the ability to open a storefront thanks to the city passing the motion. It took us a year to find anybody that would rent to us, because people don't want to rent to people that are in the cannabis industry that aren't part of the legal system, because they can lose their property and be prosecuted for that. So it was very difficult to find someone who would rent to us, because we were honest with everybody about what we were wanting to do here on the downtown east side. But we did find a really good landlord, Peter, to give us a space. And so we moved into this space 8 months ago. And we had a wonderful store. We had all the different things that people would need. We had a wonderful staff helping people. It was a safe space for people to come to in the neighborhood. We're 1 block away from Main and Hastings here, just far enough away to get out of that hell that is the Main and Hastings area of Vancouver. Just far enough away to bring them into a little bit of a paradise where, you know, things are different here. The attitude and atmosphere here is different. Even just 1 block away, it's a very different block. And so we were really thrilled to be here. And right away we put in an application into Health Canada. We wanted to be licensed, of course, and the city required that. Before they would give us approval in the form of a license, we needed to have Health Canada on board. So thanks to John Conroy, Jack Lloyd originally, but John Conroy stepped in, and he was also putting together an application for the BC Compassion Society, and what we're doing sort of fits with that. And so he has come on board and helped us with so much effort. I have so many reams of emails from him and so much paper that he's produced, and he's been in contact with the public health officials for all of this time, and I can't thank him enough. There's just so much work that he's done on our behalf, and he put together an extremely comprehensive application for Health Canada that includes not just our store and our staff, but also the suppliers that we're using. All the people that have been helping us here, the producers of cannabis, have been, you know, so fantastic. They need to be licensed too. They're all doing things properly. They're all extremely trusted by us. I mentioned we have the testing equipment from the Green Cross, and everything that we use here is tested, and so we have trusted, tested suppliers, and they deserve to be licensed as well. And that's part of our application. And so we put that into Health Canada along with an emergency request for a ministerial exemption before we would get our licenses, because we understand that takes a while, and John prepared me for over a year of Health Canada debating and deliberating over whether or not and how we could get licenses for what we're trying to do that's outside of their corrupt overregulation, Prohibition .2 Cannabis Act. And so we need a ministerial exemption. That's what we need. We need Patty Haydu, the federal health minister, to just sign a piece of paper that allows us to continue to operate our store until such time as the Special Licensing and Exemptions Division of Health Canada can put together licenses for us and our staff and our suppliers. Well, that was almost 5 months ago now that we put that in there. That was an emergency request, because what had happened was the city licensing department, not the councillors that passed the motion unanimously to support us, and then we're going to have city staff come and assess us and decide if we were properly meeting the needs of the community. That's the 419 warning, so I got 1 minute. Not enough time to wrap all this up for sure. But, you know, we did get evicted because him and his lawyer felt that they had no choice, being threatened by the licensing department. Without a license, if they were renting to us and we were selling cannabis outside of the Cannabis Act, then he could be fined and he could be prosecuted for that. And so against his better will, we were taken to court. A judge, rather than give us time to get our licenses, decided we were arriving in court with unclean hands and that he was going to punish us for that, rather than allow us to continue to save lives and to help the community. And he evicted us and gave us 7 days to get out. I bought an RV immediately. We never missed a day. And we've been here serving this community the way we were from our store, albeit from a diminished capacity, for now 14 weeks. We're now just starting our 14th week of being in the RV. In that time, we have been raided. My van has been broken into twice. We have suffered all kinds of issues. It's cold and cramped out there, and we're all frustrated waiting for Health Canada. But that's what's going on, and we're now into our 14th week, and maybe tomorrow will be the day that Health Canada decides to give us permission to do what is necessary down here to save the lives of the people that are at risk. Maybe tomorrow will be the day. We'll see. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that. A little brief overview of the Cannabis Substitution Program and the 4.5 years that are, or 4 years, I'm getting ahead of myself, that have brought us to where we are right now. But it's 420. And Glenn Wells is here as always, 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca joins me for the 420 session.
There you go, sir. Some water.
I'm having a puff today.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, well, why not? It's the 4th anniversary.
Yeah.
You only get to be 4 twice, right? Just keep up with that.
I'm going to be 64 in a week.
64? Yeah, next week it'll be the big
So
league,
it occurs to me that I was 60 years old when I started this project.
Oh.
Maybe we should thank Health Canada, because we wouldn't be having this quest for the community cannabis shop without them not approving our application quickly. So this whole continuing saga of us in the quest for our low barrier access is all thanks to Health Canada and the Trudeau government with their not legalization that they put in. Stephen Harper for his escalation of the drug war, and all the people that come before them that have oppressed us. And there's so many. I mean, there again, there'd be a lot of people to thank for the oppression that we've had to suffer, that have brought us together as such a tight community, that have managed to have us attract people that are really passionate about doing the right thing and really upset about a government that just won't do the right thing,
Yep.
So that's what's going on.
So over the 4 years since I've been asking you about 420, what is your most memorable moment in your 4 years now?
I would say it was that Saturday when I arrived there and there was a lineup of people.
Yep, your first very big lineup.
That first lineup of people that were there.
And
I remember my jaw just dropped when I saw that. And I looked at all those people that were standing there looking at me take the boxes out of my car. And I just looked at them all and I said, "Are you people here for me, for cannabis?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I mean, wow, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wow, this is incredible. That it was only like 3 or 4 weeks of doing it.
Yeah.
That had resulted in that. It was so valuable to this community that those people would be there lined up, not even knowing if I was coming. Because I didn't announce that I was coming there. I never announced that I was coming there. I never said, "Oh, I'll be back next Saturday at noon. I'll see you then."
Yeah.
I just got into a rhythm of that's how I did it. I mean, I went during the week and got the donations, and then Saturday I'd wake up, I'd go through my normal routine, I'd put everything together, and I'd arrive at Vandu, and it was noon. Yeah. And so, doing that 3 times in a row, the 4th time, and I've got a lineup of people there, so that was really powerful.
This Christmas, when I raised the money, that was sort of powerful for me. So I sort of know what you're understanding. That mind you, the lineup wasn't that long, but that was the very first time that I've ever done something like that to help people on the street at Christmas time. So so I sort of know the feeling that you're feeling there.
Yeah,
to see that lineup that we did have going down the alley and stuff like that, and the smiles on people's faces and the thank yous. And
I remember saying to myself, "Okay. Obviously, I'm doing this every Saturday now."
The people need you.
At that point, it had become a thing.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, there was people there to volunteer and help me. That it'd say, "Hey, we heard what you're doing, man, and this is awesome. Can we help?"
Yeah.
And I mean, many of those volunteers were there right through the whole thing. Jen and Andrew, they've been like almost. Jen was in the lineup for a little while.
Yeah.
And then she worked her way onto the rolling table, and always wanted to be part of the packaging. I was the one who did all the packaging. But, things happened, and I needed help, and then there she was, and then she was so good at it that she just kind of took over. Andrew, Ted Scully, I should mention Ted.
Ted might even drop in on us, because I gave him a ride here today, so he may show up.
Ted was awesome. He was one of those guys that showed up there that first day, and, he just took on everything. He would just watch me and see what I was doing, then he would come in and help and do it and take it over. And so he became in charge of all the volunteers and the other things that were going on. I mean, we had the holy rollers rolling, and we had the people packaging, and we had the line management going on, we had the door people. And so that there was a number of different things going on, and Ted just sort of took over from me of overseeing all of those things.
Yeah.
And then after a few months, Ted had a situation where he had to move out to Surrey, and he had to take a job. And he wasn't going to be able to help me. And he said, "Don't worry." He said, "I've got the guy for you." And he introduced me to Andrew. Well, my goodness, Andrew, even more attentive than Ted was at recognizing what needed to be done. Just a wonderful human being. He'd been a guy that had been volunteering his time at other places as well.
Yeah.
He had been struggling with addiction on the downtown east side himself prior to that. He got himself out of that. Cannabis helped him with that.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to give back. He's that kind of a guy. And he's been with us ever since. And I mean, he'd be here every single day. I had to give him a couple of days off.
I know, he would be here, yes.
Yeah, he'd be here.
Yeah.
He'd probably set up a tent outside if I let him.
Sunday nights, it sounds like a little sad that he's not coming back till Tuesday.
Well, he does have a girlfriend.
She must like that then.
And so, he got the one day to be able to go and spend with his girlfriend. And then when we got kicked out of the shop, then I gave him another day off as well because we wanted to work so much. We had to lay off half of our staff.
You're her best friend.
I'm sure she likes me for Mondays, and now the other day he gets off too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and I mean George was a holy roller for a long time. Towards the end at Vandu, I put him in charge of the holy rollers, and he's the other staff member that we have here. That
you got Diane.
Goes right back.
Diane was a holy roller for a long time.
Diane. There was so many people that were part of the other volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 15 when we left Vandu. There was 15 steady that showed up every single time.
Yeah.
Not the holy rollers, the line management people, the packaging people. They all never missed. Dedicated, and it really became quite a community there.
Yeah.
Leaving there had its its positives and its negatives. I wanted to get that lineup off the street.
Yeah,
that bothered me every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, even without the inclement weather,
many
of those people are struggling with mobility issues. Yeah. And even for people
you had a disability.
We had a disability line as well, so they didn't have to wait as long. But still, they were waiting for hours out there in the disability line as well.
But they knew that they had to do that when they came there, but it was worth it to get the medicine that you were providing.
It was an absolute testament to the value of what we were doing, for sure.
Right? Because people don't stick around if it's not worth it, right?
No. And they don't keep coming back,
and they don't keep
time
coming
after
back,
time.
right? So that's,
and even the people that didn't get, that aren't in chairs.
Yeah.
Many of those people struggle mightily with their mobility.
Yeah.
And even people that don't struggle with mobility, to be standing in a lineup for 2-3 hours plus, and like I say, when the weather would kick in and we would have nasty cold wind coming through there, we had snow on a few occasions over the 3.5 years. The heat was unbearable in many cases too. So that was one thing for me is I really wanted to get that lineup to stop. To just let's help these people somehow where they don't have to come and line up for hours. So the storefront was absolutely the way to go. But what we lost out of that was a real sense of community. It was meeting twice a week. For 2.5 years we were every Thursday and every Sunday, and there was a lot of friendships made. There was a lot of people that felt like they had something to do. We get told that all the time that they missed the lineup, or they not so much the lineup.
Someone carrying on, but with food there on those days.
No.
John
comes here on Sundays.
Just here on Sundays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you go back to that.
And we also have Mackenzie Baxfield and Evan Reeks that. They take the Thursday slot. Because what we did maintain with the Vandu thing was Thursdays we still have hot food for people or infused food, and Sundays we still have hot or infused food for people. And so John does the Sundays, and Mackenzie and Evan they do the Thursdays. And we get some minor lineups for that. But they serve people pretty quick. They usually have things ready to go. They certainly know what they're doing. And there's
so many people.
It's been quite a run for sure.
But that's what it takes a village to change.
And then we went from that to a store. And really quickly we set up the store.
We're still here in the store.
This was the store. Somewhere under all the boxes over there are the counters that we had in place. The glass cabinets. And we had all of these wonderful things for people. We still do have most things for people. But it's not the same. It's not.
Just need Health Canada's
permission. Now we're in an RV, and you'll see that. We're going to go to the RV, and you'll see that people have to come to the side window, and then we don't have anything displayed because the cops raided us and they took everything. And one of their issues was we had stuff in sight. We had to take our tent down. We're not allowed to put the tent up. We had to take our signs down. We wanted everybody to know what we were doing, and I had some signs made up. John made them up.
You don't really need signs because the word of mouth really gets around.
Well, but I still wanted the signs. I loved the signs. They were very important.
They'll come back.
They will come back.
They
We're going to
will
get
come
our
back.
store back. I'm very hopeful. I'm not just hopeful. I'm optimistic. I believe it. That they're overdue now. Health Canada, like I mentioned earlier in the show, for those who haven't watched the show repeatedly, where I repeat myself over and over again, it seems week by week. I'm hoping that'll stop one day when we actually get our licenses and we can move on to some new story besides the continuing saga for the quest for the low barrier access community cannabis store. It's a long title for a short story. It was supposed to be a short story, but it's turning into a long book now.
Yeah.
So this tome of ours of this quest for the store will result in licenses. It really has to.
Yeah.
It's an absolute no-brainer.
And then we'll be able to help people right across Canada.
We live in a world where you can go and access alcohol really easily.
Yeah. Or smoke
Alcohol is a scourge on our society. It's also a benefit for people, and not everybody abuses it, and not everybody has trouble with it, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And the statistics are there if you want to look up. I mean, how many deaths from alcohol? It rivals the overdose death rate, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just deaths from being poisoned by alcohol. I'm not talking about all the other deaths that are associated with alcohol use, from impaired driving to criminal things that happen, and all kinds of stuff that happens. There's a lot of domestic violence that happens.
Domestic violence,
So there's a lot of things that happen as a result of alcohol. But we got alcohol dispensaries all over the place. There's thousands of them in this city alone. You can bring your kids in there. They can't buy anything. They're not allowed to consume, but you can take your kids in there. The alcohol is everywhere. The smell is in the air.
Yeah.
It's not hard to get. There's no limit on how much you can buy. You're having a big party, although you're not allowed to do that now. But you can still buy all you want, probably. In fact, alcohol sales are up. So alcohol is a real issue in our society. And yet there it is, available for people, easy.
Yeah.
There's some regulations and restrictions on it, but it's easy to get for adults. Commercial tobacco.
Yeah.
Commercial tobacco kills, the last time I looked at the stats, they reported 5.4 million deaths from commercial tobacco, directly related to commercial tobacco globally every 12 months.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And, so many other problems as well. Most of the hospitalizations in Canada are a result of COPD, and caused directly by smoking. And cigarette, how do they get away with that? We have CSA standards for things on what they can and cannot include in the things that we're purchasing, and yet in cigarettes, they put strychnine and cyanide, and the list goes on. All of these things are in there, by the way, to make it more addictive.
Yeah.
To make it more addictive. I didn't even talk about the addictive nature of alcohol, how hard it is to quit that for people once they get going on it, Tobacco's way worse. They say tobacco's worse than heroin to get off of. It's extremely hard for people. So here's a highly addictive, dangerous, poisonous substance that is available everywhere here. They're in grocery stores. They were in drugstores. Some drugstores don't sell them anymore, I guess, but a lot of them did. Gas stations, lots of gas stations, 4 on a corner. Every one of those gas stations will sell you cigarettes. With cannabis, you got proximity. I can't be within 300 meters in Vancouver of each other, and all these other restrictions. But commercial tobacco is everywhere. So there's another one.
Cannabis is good for you. Tobacco is bad. So let's go to the past.
Cannabis is beneficial in so many ways.
Yes.
Not addictive.
And there's some of those people who would think that they're smoking recreationally, but you're not. Well, you
are.
You may be, but when you use cannabis, it helps your body.
I think
so it's a medical thing also.
Yeah, I think what you wanted to say is there's a lot of people that think they're using cannabis non-medically.
Yes.
And there's really no such thing.
No, because it's good for your body.
Yeah, it's good for your body. It's going to help you go in there. Google the endocannabinoid system.
Yes.
Have a look at that.
Wow.
And you will see that the endocannabinoid system, which means the interior cannabinoid system, your body creates cannabinoids whether you ingest them or not.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. The cannabis that we ingest through the cannabis plant is just a mimic of the chemistry that's involved in what our bodies create. And what that system is all about is maintaining balance over all the other systems, in not just the human body, but the endocannabinoid system is in all of the vertebrates and some of the non-vertebrates.
It also reminds those cells that have a certain thing to do, and they're supposed to self-destruct. Sometimes they don't do that, and the endocannabinoid system will remind those cells to do that, and it will destroy them. Just like chemotherapy does when you have cancer. But this is a more healthier way. You're not getting sick. You're not losing your hair. You're not dying from pneumonia or anything. You're just smoking some cannabis, feeling good, eating some cannabis, feeling better, sleeping well, and while your body's...
No physical addiction.
Nope.
No chance of fatal overdose.
Yep.
part of our, a mimic to our endocannabinoid system, beneficial in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, it's the one that is being treated as if it's the addictive one, it's the harmful one, and all of that. Refined sugar.
Yeah.
Refined sugar is the
bad.
root of diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Supposed to make you stupid.
We now have a bigger problem with obesity than we do with starvation because of refined sugar.
Yeah.
What they do is they take sugars which are in plants, which is what we use for fuel, which contain all the different things that we need, and they strip all the things that we need out of the sugar. They leave it just down to that molecule that hits our taste buds, and
yeah, it's not so good.
And it's really damaging to internal organs. Diabetes is not fun. People lose limbs, they go blind. There's just so many things that happen.
And stuff,
The hyperactivity in children, with refined sugar, how it's put into everything. Because it's highly fucking addictive. It's highly, highly addictive. So they put that shit in everything. They want you buying that stuff.
Yeah.
And for kids, they target it right at children. They got labels and fancy colors and cartoon characters and all these things that are all there promoting the use of sugar amongst children. Yeah. So we live in a very upside down, hypocritical world here, for sure. It gets even worse. The case that I'm making here for cannabis to be available, we got so much, and the powers that be that want to restrict access have nothing. There is no justification for restrictions on cannabis whatsoever with all that we've just said. And here's the real kicker. We've got an overdose death epidemic where people are dying from opioids, and cannabis could be a replacement for those people and get them off through withdrawal.
CBD.
Well, that's cannabis as well. The cannabis plant is one of the big solutions to the overdose epidemic death crisis that we've got going on here. And yet here we are struggling to be able to provide it to people. We know.
And it's also left up to you, me, and the other people who smoke to teach our doctors. Like, I'm teaching myself African doctors.
Now you're going to get me on the doctors, right?
He loves that I'm using my oils for sleeping now instead of the sleeping pills that he used to give me. And now I tell him that I feel more alert in the morning and more healthy. And he's like, wow, you've lost 30 pounds too just taking this oil. So he is very amazed at what he didn't know about it when he was like dead against it. You've heard me say that before. He was like dead against it in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But I've turned that guy right around.
Lots of doctors have done that. Yeah. I want to get into that with Jerry Martin in the next session as well, because it's really important about the role that doctors are playing in all of this, because doctors have this position in society where they are like gods.
Yeah.
They are so respected in their white coats and all their years of university and all the rest of it.
Right?
But the doctors are part of the plot against cannabis, whether they mean to be or not. But by being schooled to be a doctor, almost all of the funding, the majority of the funding for schooling doctors comes from pharmaceutical companies.
Exactly, yeah. It's all from
and we all know they have a big agenda against cannabis because it threatens, their patented medicine. Yeah. And so, you can't trust your doctor. How horrible is that? Yeah. But that's the world that
we
we're
don't
living
have the medicine man of the government anymore. Like the medicine man before pharmaceuticals used to take care of the people in his village and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Sort of like that's what we kind of need now in our government. The guy who's our medicine man and show us the herbs that help us instead of these pharmaceuticals.
That's what we are. We're medicine people.
Medicine people, right?
Well, we've had to take that role as medicine people ourselves because we can't trust the medical profession. Yeah. And this is the truth. Herbs are what heals us. Herbs are what feed us. Yeah. We are made out of plants. We are plant-based animals, and herbs are why they heal us, because they have the molecules that interact with our molecules. We're very complex creatures.
In that book, it says everything's provided on the earth that you need, right?
And it is. Yeah. And so, this really flies in the face of the pharmaceutical company's agenda. Yeah. And the other thing is, there used to be drugstores all over the place, and they were botanical drugstores. Yes. And you could go in there and get all the different herbs.
That's
right. And all of those things. Yeah. That's what medicine was for thousands and thousands of years for human beings. Yeah. But now we have these drugstores, even though they say drugs are bad. You can't drive through any community without seeing a big sign that says drugs. And if you're driving around Vancouver, there's drugs stores, big signs available all over the place. They're from London and Pharmacy and you name it. There's just lots and lots of drugs.
Drug mart.
Yeah, if you're a shopper, they have a drug mart for you. Yeah. there's lots of drugs out there in our society.
Where you can buy cigarettes too. At Shoppers Drug Mart.
And I mean, some people like to say, well, cannabis isn't a drug, stop calling.
Up front admission, they do.
Really?
I think so, yes. They have them locked up behind.
Wow.
Yes.
Mary McCarty is in the room, by the way. And hi, sis, from Mary. You want to come and wave at your sister? She's probably, no, you have to come over here.
Come over here.
Come over here.
There you are. See,
There's
here.
There's been the hero of the CSP for the last, how long has it been, Mary?
Almost a year.
Almost a year ago you arrived here, and you had been...
No, over a year ago I arrived here.
Okay, so it's been almost a year since you've been like the head baker.
Well, kind of, yeah.
But you came here with that intention, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you were messaging me once in a while before you got here, and you were very interested in what we were doing, and you wanted to bake for us, and so you made that happen, and boy did you make that happen. So thank you so much for that. We need 3 or 4 more Marys. That's what we need, because this program is going to expand.
Yeah, I want to wish you good luck in your ventures. Can I say where you're going?
Sure, yeah.
In London.
Yeah, everybody
you want to
knows I'm
start the
going
program
to
in
London,
London, right? So if you guys are in London, Ontario, you want to get into this program, get a hold of Mary.
Get a hold of Mary. She needs a few good volunteers.
Help, right?
Yeah. She shouldn't be doing all the baking herself.
No.
She's going to need product.
She's going to need volunteers.
Yeah. So, and that's how the program works. For anybody who wants to get this going in your area, you need to have some dedicated donators. That's one of the keys. Another one would be a relentless organizer. Someone who's not going to let it go no matter what. And you need a few of those people, actually. And a person like that will attract people like that.
Yeah.
And so, you need to have those 2 things in place. And then, just connect with the users wherever they are. If there's an issue in your town or city, and there's an area where people are congregating, where they're buying their drugs, and there's usually advocacy groups in those areas as well. There's Anchors is in British Columbia here. There's Solid on Vancouver Island. Vandu here, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users. If you don't have a user group, but you've got a problem in your area, you can contact Vandu, and they're more than willing to help set that up and get you going.
Nice.
And a user group is important. And
no matter what province you're in, you can still contact
Oh,
Vandu?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going straight to City Hall.
You're going straight to City Hall.
Straight to City Hall.
Yeah, you want to go to City Hall. That's
I'm going to educate them.
Yeah. And you can present all the stuff that we've put together.
I'm going to walk right into City Hall.
Because I feel that if you start it first and you have those people behind you to go into City Hall, you're going to have a louder voice than just one person.
I'm from there. I know a lot of people.
Okay.
I've owned hair salons there for a long time.
I went to City Hall first.
You did to go to City Hall first?
City Hall first.
City Hall first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I went to Vandu first.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If there's a user group in the area, seek them out.
Yeah.
And let them know how it's working here.
Well, I got a good friend already that works at the Men's Mission.
Okay,
there you go.
And I've already been talking to her. So, and before I even left London, I said to her, "Let's give all these people in here an edible."
Yeah.
Because she used to tell me horror stories of how somebody would go to sleep in their bed, have their phone on them, and wake up and the phone's gone.
Oh yeah.
I said to her, "Let's fill them up with edibles and knock them out."
Yeah.
And that guy's phone will still be there when he wakes up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They're all out cold. They're not going to be stealing from other people.
The most important thing is that we can give those people 8 to 10 hours of sleep instead of 8 to 10 hours of use.
And then they don't have the problems they have either.
Exactly.
It cuts that down, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere...
And I was involved as well as a place called My Sister's Place.
Yeah.
And it's for the women in London.
Yeah.
And I used to donate fruit and all kinds of stuff there for them to make banana bread.
So somewhere in your town, there are groups like these that Mary's mentioning, and they've got the approval of City Council already. Because City Councils want to solve these issues. There are big problems in communities all across Canada. So there are groups there that are already working as advocates on behalf of the people that are involved in drug misuse or whatever, poverty and all the rest of it that's going on. Those groups have the respect of City Council. So if you go to those groups first and you get them on board with what you want to do, then they will give you some credibility when you go to City Hall.
I thought she was going to do it by herself, but she's got a couple of steps in the door.
Mary's got an army of people just waiting.
I owned hair salons there. I used to have a hair salon in downtown London, and it was horrible. I had people that would be in front of the store bumming and mooching for money constantly and begging, and my block was cleared after I went in there.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't chase them. I just told them, like, go get your stuff together.
Yeah.
You have so many programs out there to help you.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about cannabis like I do now.
Yes.
It would have been a lot different.
Would have been a lot different.
A lot
Would have helped
different.
a lot more people.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot
Takes them
different.
away, yeah.
Well, my son owned a hair salon before I left, and I knew a lot about cannabis then, and I educated everybody in there.
Yeah.
Everybody. I was pulling out my cream and putting it on everybody.
There you go.
Everybody. I do a pedicure and put my cannabis cream on their feet.
Yeah.
I had people used to comment, "Oh, I must be really high. Holy mackerel!"
A lot of
No,
kids
it
in
doesn't
school
work
have been
that way.
getting rashes on their hands from the sanitizer, and I've been using
Yeah.
some of the creams
Yeah.
to get rid of it. Boy, it's gone in an hour.
Even from
Yeah.
wearing your mask all the time, you
Yeah.
get a rash on your face.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the creams don't get you high; they're just for your skin, right?
Well, it does put. It depends on how it's made because it does put it in your system.
I saw Freddie do a video where he put a whole bunch of MJ cream all over his whole body, and he seemed to be
pretty high.
I,
But that
he
was the
said,
whole one.
he said he was high.
It's an access.
I'm
It's an
not sure-
access point.
I
Your
just-
skin is an access point.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, you know, he may or may not have got high off the cream. I'm pretty sure Freddie's always high on
Pretty high on something,
he's
right?
smoking as well as putting cream on. I'm pretty sure he looked pretty high before he started putting the cream on. I'll tell you that. That's quite the video.
But
if you
I'm
can
not
find
gonna
that
put
video.
up my all that cream on my daughter. I was just putting it on that one spot, so she's not getting high or anything. But yeah, the cream really works well.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It gets rid of rashes.
Yeah, and we actually offer cream with our program as well, the Cannabis
Yeah.
Substitution Program. We have cream for people always as
You
well.
got
So
CBD cream and THC cream, right?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Jen. Jen's my manager out there. She knows way more than me now about what's going on.
But anyway, so we're
It's about educating people. That's what a lot of it is you have to educate the people.
yeah,
Very
because
good.
they've been miseducated
That's right.
by the government.
Big
right?
time.
Big time.
Big time. That's the
Big
first thing
time.
you got to know if you're looking into the whole cannabis thing is
Yeah.
that you've been lied to.
Yeah.
You've been lied to big time.
And,
about,
and your
cannabis.
grandma or your grandpa might not understand that the government lied to you, and they may be the hardest people to convince. But your mom and dad might be a little bit easier to convince because being grandmas and grandpas, you're pretty entrenched into what.
Well,
you're-
Well, the
not
media
really. I
lies-
no,
I know a
I
lot
hate
of-
to differ with you because when my son had the hair salon, these people were 80, 90 years old.
Yeah, I'm not saying
And
everybody.
They,
There's a
I
balance,
gave
right?
them my topical cream.
Yeah.
Try it. They tried it and come back for
Well,
more.
look at me. I'm an old guy, and you know I know what's going on.
And you use the cream to make you look
I
young.
think
Yeah.
Some
I
of them
think
are in
it's
so
all
much
about
pain.
de-educating the older people and re-educating them.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yes.
what it's
There's
all
like
about.
a real divide amongst the older people because
Yes.
a lot of the
There is.
older people are now people that were smoking weed all their lives, like myself. But there's also a lot that didn't do that, that
That's
were
right.
involved in other things, and you know they don't know. They bought into the whole hype, and that's why they didn't use cannabis. You
Well,
know?
we can say the 80 and 90-year-olds are ancient.
Ancient.
We're old, they're ancient.
I am too old now.
I know a lot of 80-year-olds that are getting into CBD now, and
that's
they're
good.
telling their friends
They're
about
loving
it, and
it.
they're
I-
telling
they
their
love
friends,
it.
and they're
That's
telling their
right.
friends, and so on.
Good
and
job.
so on,
Good
right?
job, guys.
Yes.
Good job. That's what it's about.
101.
That's what it's all about, education.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Give them freebies. Here, try it.
Yeah.
See if it helps you.
yeah. My mom's 75. Never
I
used
hope we all
anything
get to be
cannabis.
that old one day.
Oh, I'm gonna be 100.
I lost a really good friend of mine last night.
Oh.
Colleen Krukus, who was one of my best friends for about 30 years.
Oh yeah.
And she was a little older than me, about 10 years older than me, I think. And she had a very bad stroke a few months ago.
Yeah. You were telling me about
And
that.
then a few more strokes after that. She didn't get to see her family at all
No.
through her months
So
of
you were
being-
allowed to see her, right? You're one of the
Well,
3.
I'll tell you that in just a sec. She was in this situation. She was conscious and alert, but she didn't get to see her family at all. Only her daughter on January the 5th. She got a visit, and there was some ability to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But then she had more strokes. I got to see her in the hospice, but hard to say how aware she was, whether I was there or not. I think she was, but I got to hold her hand and talk to her and tell her, you know, what a wonderful mother she was, what a great friend she was.
Yeah.
And she
she
was
squeezed
so
your hand.
smart. Yeah, well, she didn't, there was no squeezing,
No.
but, you know, there was a grip.
There was a grip. Okay.
You know,
good,
there was a
good.
grip on my
Yeah.
hand. She did look at me. Her eyes were mostly focused on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But when I first walked in, she looked at me and she tried to say something. I couldn't make out. And that was the last that she did. I also got to sit with her another night, a few nights later. They had removed the feeding tubes from her.
Okay.
And but I did get to spend some time with her. I'm not sure, where she was. And it's just...
It's always nice to be able to say goodbye, too.
It was,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
So she finally went, after 2 weeks of having the tubes removed, she passed
2 weeks
last
is
night.
pretty good, yeah.
And it was great of her to, allow her children to be able to come and spend some time saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Don't always get that. And in fact, she was, like I say, she was in hospital where no one could visit for a few months leading up to this, and expected to pass at any time during that time. So she could easily, like so many other families have experienced in this last year, is your loved one is not available to you to go and see when they pass away. They pass away alone, just with healthcare workers there or whatever. And these are very sad times for that. And what that means is that we really need to appreciate the life that we have, the friends that we still have, the time that we have with people. This just really reinforces that love your family, love your friends, love the people around you. Don't take it for granted, because it can happen anytime. I had seen her a few days before, and then all of a sudden I get a call that she's in the hospital, she's had a stroke, and then from there for months,
just went downhill.
We never got to see her. We didn't know. And then when I finally did get to see her, it was just to sit, like I say. So also Joe Fort, I found out just recently, I wished I'd have known, he passed away New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
He had gone into hospital on Christmas Eve and collapsed into a coma, and he passed away New Year's Eve. And Joe was an amazing human being. He was quite a guy. He owned a big dispensary in California. He grew thousands and thousands of cannabis plants on government property on the mountainside beside where he lived, and he got busted down there. It resulted in the death of one of his family members, and he was a broken man after that.
Oh, yes.
He was a constitutional expert and an expert on U.S. law, and they wanted no part of him in their courts. So they deported him back to Canada, and that's when I met Joe, maybe 10 years ago or so. He was the manager of a weed store for a while. I worked there with him, and he was a guy that you could see that, man, he was a super high achiever at times, a very brilliant human being, high-functioning human. But then most of the time, he was kind of the opposite. Every once in a while, you could get a glimpse of Joe and how good he was and could be about things. But most of the time, he was just a broken man that was struggling with very serious health issues as well. When you go through what he went through, it takes a big toll on your health. And so the last few years of Joe's life were not fun for him at all. He was basically homeless. He was making really bad decisions in his life about a lot of different things and not living well. I tried to help him as best I could, but at the same time, I had to keep an arm's length, unfortunately, for the last while. So I wasn't really aware of what his situation was much for these last probably year and a half or so. But I found out that he has passed away. But he was an awesome human. He did a lot of really good stuff in his life. He inspired a lot of people as well along the way, and educated a lot of people along the way as well. So rest in peace, Joe. You deserve it.
Rest in peace to your friend.
And Colleen as well. Thankfully, she passed peacefully, and I'm sure she's having a good time wherever she is, because she really lived an exemplary life, and she deserves whatever the benefits of heaven are. She deserves that too. So, love your friends and families. Love your life. Every moment is precious and could be anyone's last. So, these are the lessons I take from these things. But as you get older, you do lose more and more of your
friends. That happens.
Family,
that's part of life, though,
part
right?
Part of life, Part of life.
The first day that you're born is one day
Jason
closer to death.
to pass away either.
We've lost so many people in the last little while.
And today's a present.
I think of Guppy.
There you go.
Guppy's symbolized by dimes for me and many other people. Shortly after he passed, we were finding dimes in weird places, and I was noticing that. And a year after he passed, we had a little gathering, another celebration of his life, and people started mentioning that, and it was like, holy shit, me too. So I collected a whole bunch of them that, like, you know, when I would see a dime out of place, not below a cash register or a parking meter, but just, you know, I found dimes in the weirdest of places. When I was about to take the stage at 420, for example, before Cypress Hill, there in front of me is a dime. I mean, how do you even notice something like that? How do I even notice something on the ground in front of me as I'm about to walk out onto the stage to take the mic to do what I was going to do? But there it was. And they have been in profound places for me, you know, ever since. I don't believe in this stuff. I don't know about this stuff. I know it's possible in the world of quantum mechanics and, you know, all that is.
Your friend visited me 2 weeks ago because I found a dime right at the door of my car in a parking spot.
You know what? I went, when I was in Nova Scotia, I went with my sister to see her parents' grave. Yeah. We're sisters by heart. Yeah. That's how we're sisters.
I see.
We met each other. She's a wonderful person, and we went to her parents' gravesite, and right on the gravesite, there's a dime sitting there.
Wow, right?
So I don't know if this is going to be true, but, you know, it happened for me.
You have to believe, that's all.
I say it's 10 times good luck, because you used to find a penny, which we don't make anymore. That was 1 good luck, right? So now we find dimes and nickels, so it's 5 times or 10 times good luck, right?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think this show was going to be about people that had passed, but there we go.
It what it becomes, right? Yeah.
Part of what makes life very special.
They're always with
thanks,
you.
Brent. I appreciate we had a long session today, but that's okay.
There you go. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
It's an important week. You said it. You're 64 next week.
Well, there's no importance in that. It's just another week. It's just another birthday, you know. Every day that I get is special, so every year. You're coming on in, Jerry. I'm not going to introduce you. All right. I'm going to introduce you. This is Jerry Martin. For those that aren't regulars to the show, Jerry Martin is a wonderful human being that had a tough life to begin with and wanted to give back and ended up opening a medical cannabis dispensary in a small town, his small town in Saskatchewan there. And 4 years of serving the community, over 1,000 members in a little town that only had about 1,000 people living in it, so you had people coming around from other places. And then Trudeau gets in, promises that the medical patients will be just fine with legalization, and they send you a letter telling you to stop doing what you're doing. And of course that ended up in arrest and, you know, seizure of your properties. And now that was 4 years ago, last November.
Yeah, almost 5 now.
Well, 4.5, I'll give you that. You know, it seems like, I don't know, a couple lifetimes probably now, eh?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Yeah. And so still no actual day in court, still supposed to be coming. Part of a constitutional challenge about the need for low barrier access to cannabis and in your community. And one day you might get your day in court. It's scheduled for April 26th.
Yeah, 26th to 28th,
Okay.
Yeah.
And along with another co-defendant?
Yeah, that's just a cross-examinations, I guess. So it's going to go on in phases. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
I still believe it when I see it. I've been saying all the way through this time that I don't think you're going to get that date.
Yeah, well,
they're dangling it. It's getting close. Time flies.
Yeah, I talked to the lawyer today.
But you know you can get into court there all expecting it to happen, and then they say something. All right, adjourn to such and such a date, right?
Well,
you know how that goes. You've had it happen, 40 times already?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so disgusting. So disgusting.
Hopefully it's case dismissed.
Well, hopefully it's return all assets and how much do we owe you for your pain and suffering and torture.
That too.
I mean, this is cruel and unusual punishment to be. I mean, you look fine right now. Yeah. You look good to me. You look like you're happy. You look like you're in a decent space, But you're not always in a decent space, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a journey of ups and downs.
Always got 2 spaces going on.
Oh, you always got more than one space going on. Hey, there you go. That's the right thing.
Always haunt me in the back, right? So
it's tough, man. It's fucking tough.
You still got arena, man.
I mean, in our eyes, you went from hero to superhero when all this went down. But in the eyes of government and law enforcement, you went from, I don't know what, criminal to worse. I don't know. I was going to say hero to zero, but that's not true.
Yeah.
But but that is the pain of it, isn't it? That you were doing wonderful things.
Yeah.
We all loved you. You knew that because you were doing all these wonderful things. Your community loved you. You know, we get the feedback here with what we're doing. You got the same thing there. I know you do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you're living a life of sticking it to the man by helping the poor people that are oppressed by the bully. I mean, you can't be doing better than that. I mean, that's who you want to be as a human being. You know what I mean? You got it going on. And then they fucking threaten you, and then they take all that away from you, and they chase you for 4 years now, making you hire lawyers and threatening you with all kinds of shit over this time. Holy fuck, man! I feel like I've sort of been with you on some of that journey, right? Because I know you well, and I've watched you, respond and act out and express, what's going on with you, and so I feel some of that. But I know I don't feel all of that. I know that, if it was me going through that, I'd be fucking blowing shit up, man. I'd be I don't know what I'd be doing. But, I'm a crazy guy when things aren't really right. I try to do things right because I'm results oriented. If I thought blowing something up would get an end to this fucking prohibition and the corruption of government, I'd probably do it. But that isn't a way to do it, in my opinion. It doesn't really get you what you want. So it's been a long, hard process for me of trying to fight this fucking government. But for you, on that end of it, where you've actually been persecuted and you're the people I'm fighting for, I mean, man, it's been tough. It's been fucking tough. So, what did you want to talk about on your session today?
I don't know. I did talk to the lawyer today, so they are proceeding.
Yeah?
So the dates are official now.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, I just wanted it out of the way, so.
Get her done. Like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It would be better than, not, what they've been doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's good. So you talk to the lawyer. It's going to go through. Yeah. Is there anything anybody can do for you? Like, you have a GoFundMe, son, or anything like that? No?
I think
send money to Paul Lewin.
Yeah, just send money to Paul Lewin.
Send money to Paul Lewin.
Honestly, I think that the majority of mine is covered, so...
After a lot of effort and a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure it could use more. I just told him I wasn't paying anymore. Plus, I pay him a lot more for other things, so...
Well,
yeah.
Hopefully Paul will get the job done.
Paul's good that way, so,
I mean, John Conroy's been fantastic for us. I mean, these people are really heroes at this point.
I don't know if John has got anything to do with that case or not. I know Jack does, and then there's other lawyers.
Those guys all talk all the time.
Yeah, there's another lawyer too, a couple of other lawyers, and we'll be getting another expert, Ira Price there.
And I'm probably not speaking out of school to say that Paul and Jack and Kirk and these other people are always building on the work that John did.
Yeah, for sure.
John's been at this for a very long time. He's laid a lot of the groundwork for how we got to where we are in our ability to address the courts and address the government through the courts. We've won most of the cases. Like 15 out of 16 of the last challenges that we've come up with, we've won. So, because they got nothing, right? I mean, there's no justification for what they're doing. But anyway, they still kind of own the courts, it seems.
Like, they just changed the law. Come out with new laws.
We got too many laws already.
Yeah.
They need to just take a bunch of laws away.
Yeah.
They should maybe reset.
Yeah.
Start from zero. Yeah. Start from the basics.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to punch anybody or kill them.
Yeah.
And if they own something, you can't take it.
I think it should be like.
And then go from there.
They punch you first.
Or if they punch you first.
They're gonna punch you.
Maybe.
Well,
all that
I'd
stuff.
rather punch him first.
all of that stuff. See, exactly that. Exactly that. We would start with. You're not allowed to hurt this person's physical being, and you're not allowed to take away this person's possessions. And
Unless you're defending yourself.
And that's what I mean. And then from there, we go, unless you're defending yourself, or unless this or this, or this or this, or this or this. There are all kinds of nuances and things that can, that can change that dynamic of when it's right or wrong. It's all about right or wrong.
Well, courts aren't about right or wrong.
I know.
It's about a charge and a pre-sentence.
Yeah. What did they do in other courts?
Yeah.
What did they get?
It doesn't matter what their family life was like. It doesn't matter if they've got a problem. It doesn't matter if their homes. The big reset on laws has to start with, we're just looking to do what's right. Yeah.
That's the overriding spirit of the whole reset, is let's do the right thing. Let's not let some sneaky fucking politician on behalf of some rich dudes pass some legislation that means that, now it's wrong for you to have a herb, even though it's helping you sleep at night. No.
Yeah.
You know, we can't allow that to happen. There should have been an overriding spirit of right and wrong involved in the making of these laws right from the beginning.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that with our government system. So.
I know, because it and who does that favor?
Look at
You know?
Trudeau did with that scam, man. He just fired everybody and.
when you follow
it all
the money,
hopeless after
when you
watching
follow
that,
the money,
man, you know what I mean?
it becomes pretty clear
The guy's
why
the
things
prime
are the way they are when you
Yeah.
follow the money.
Buying
Things
hookers,
don't make much
votes
sense.
for Gaddafi's kid, and you know, like,
Oh man,
yeah, well, that's just business.
that's the business of politics.
Yeah, I should have got into politics, man.
Fuck yeah, then you can do what you want. Freedom,
Yeah,
freedom.
yeah.
Freedom exists for one person in
Yeah,
Canada,
right and wrong.
and maybe the office that surrounds him.
Pass it.
But that prime minister guy, he gets to do whatever he wants. The rest of us, we got to do whatever he
Yeah.
wants us to do,
Yeah.
and that ain't right. Freedom to obey is not what our forefathers went to
Yeah.
war about.
Yeah.
You know, freedom to obey bad laws and have money wasted. Look at the fucking amount of money that they've wasted on trying to keep people from accessing a herb to protect the interest of people that want to sell you like alcohol or tobacco or fossil fuels or the other things that all combined to get people to not want to let you have this. Those few elites at the top that have patents on things, that have other products they want to sell you, they didn't want this in the marketplace, so they've spent so much of our fucking money, man, I'll tell you. Sorry, Annie Barbie, but you know, every once in a while it's right to swear. Like, it's just the right thing to do, you know? I love you, by the way. I hope you're still watching the show. My Auntie Barbie. Yeah, friends and families. We're not seeing enough of those people. So, anyway. So anything else that you want to talk about? You got your mind tech thing going on?
Yeah,
what's
there's
going
about
on?
that going on. Still working out, looking for a licensed dealer, so.
So can people get involved? Can people get a hold of you? Can people...
Yeah, mytech.ca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check that out. So and then I'm sure all the information...
Yeah, well,
And
it's
about
half
microdose.
on there. It's half built. The website's half built, so there's gonna be lots of broken links and but now I gotta go home and fix it.
and it's a work in progress like everything else is.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about is microdosing psychedelics to help people with depression.
Yeah, not just microdosing. I think we're gonna go full on for full use psychedelics. Microdosing, more freedom of thought is the angle we're gonna
Freedom
go.
of thought, yeah. Exactly. I like that. I like that angle a lot.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the doctors? I was going to talk to you a little bit about that because, doctors are supposed to be these trusted people that give us the right advice on what to do with our medical conditions, and yet we know that we can't really trust them because they're co-opted by pharmaceutical companies. Do you have experience with some of that stuff?
Yeah, there's doctors in town that wouldn't give up medical records either. They come, to prove that they had medical issues to come to the dispensary.
Because you were trying to confirm a diagnosis for everybody that you were helping.
Yeah. So I sent a couple back, and I told them, and I can't remember what it is, but that it was against the law for him to withhold that information
From the patient.
Yeah, so that they could further, benefit their health.
Right.
He gave up every stuff after that. Yeah, that was the end of that.
The American Medical Association recently in Mississippi, where there was a vote carried to allow for access to medical cannabis that was then being appealed, and the American Medical Association was involved in that appeal, and part of their argument is that doctors could be in jeopardy of criminal prosecution if they prescribed cannabis for somebody who didn't have some serious debilitating condition, and that's the reason that they opposed the legalization. They didn't want to have their doctors involved in confirming people's diagnosis or prescribing cannabis because that.
Well, it shouldn't be put on them either. You know what I mean? People can. How do you show pain to somebody? You can bullshit, right? I mean, most of them aren't, but you can't see pain,
or claim that you can't sleep. Or claim that you can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the doctor going to come and sit in your bedroom and check to see if you're actually sleeping in there or whatever? I mean, these are just, it helps people with shit. The doctors should not be the gatekeeper of some herb.
I think they should just, I think everybody should be able to go get it like they do in most of the other states, you know what I mean? Medical or
I think we should...
If they go in for medical, clearly they got a medical reason. I mean, there's enough recreational there, so why not just have it medical?
I think they should be rebranded truthfully.
Yeah.
I think that doctors, rather than being just doctors, they should be, obvious sales agents for the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
You want to use pharmaceuticals, you go and see these guys here. He's the expert on pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah,
that's what he's an expert on. But there's a lot of stuff that, because they're influenced so much by the pharmaceutical companies, that they don't have knowledge of them.
Well, they're not allowed to. They have to prescribe what's in their little cabinet there.
I'm sure they do.
So.
And I'm sure that even if there's repercussions for them. I mean, if they're found to be prescribing too much cannabis for people, there's repercussions.
Well,
for those guys.
Sure. Well, there's there wasn't with the opioids, but there is now.
Yeah.
As there should be.
Well, before the restriction on how much they could prescribe, there was a requirement that they prescribe X amount.
Yeah.
They were meeting quotas
for
how much of these pharmaceutical drugs they're selling, because they're really just salesmen
for
those pharmaceutical drugs.
That's what the salesman, though, not the doctor in that case, but there was several doctors there, a lot of doctors that were over-prescribing as well.
And I know I'm not giving doctors the respect they probably deserve. It's not all as bad as what I'm saying. And I hope that some doctors get a hold of me and want to take me to task for that, because I would like to have these conversations. And we need to have these conversations as a society, because there's a lot of truth to what I'm saying. It might not be the whole truth. Maybe there are good doctors. Maybe their discipline is not about handing out prescriptions all the time. Maybe they're doing other things that aren't pharmaceutical based. Probably they are.
Well,
I know that they are.
I got treated really badly when I had my heart attack, man.
You did what?
Cindy came to visit me and bring me some stuff, and she brings me a bag of weed.
Right.
And she doesn't seal this thing up. So I'm in the cardiac unit, and it stinks the whole place straight up. So they think I'm smoking it in there, and I got treated totally different after that. Maybe keep open curtains. I ended up leaving, man.
Yeah, you were having some issues. So that was part of the issue.
Yeah, man.
They smelled cannabis.
He said, I am medical, though. Is there a problem with that I have it here? Sorry she didn't, wrap it up, but they just totally treating me like a different person.
They're just finding that out. It's been in the news lately quite a bit. That there's a lot of stigma, racism, and all these other isms.
But I do get a little bit, because there used to be a lot of drug addicts these days in those neighborhoods too. But cannabis isn't one. They just see the tattoos and some weed, and
the term is drug user.
Assume.
The term is drug user, yeah. Once they think you're a drug user,
then they go home.
And there's a whole different set of protocols and policies that they're using. And this is why there's a group like Van Du and these other advocacy groups, is because that type of oppression, it really hurts people. It's not justified, and it needs to not be there. They need to be professional about how they deal with it.
Stop separating their drugs from our drugs, just because their drugs are.
So I started the show talking about addiction and some of the drivers of that and some of the dynamics of that. The people that are struggling, these drug users that are the result of our healthcare workers and our law enforcement stigmatizing people and treating them differently, these are primarily the abused children of our society. They are people that have gone through shit that would curl your hair and you probably wouldn't survive. When you hear the stories of the survivors of the people that are in this neighborhood and how they got to be where they are, those that can articulate that, you wonder how they ever survived it. It's horrible. And there, but for the grace of God, go any one of us. Seriously, you just never know what you're going to be born into. Some people are just born fucked up. I was born with a club foot, but I was lucky, because I was right on the cusp of modern medicine, figuring out what to do about that. And they bolted a steel bar to my baby shoes, holding my feet apart and forcing my foot to go the right way instead of curling in. Had I been born 10 years earlier, I would have lived my life as a cripple with a club foot, trying to survive in a world where it was not very friendly to people that had those sorts of things going on. I could easily have ended up down here struggling with all kinds of different issues.
Do you know in other cultures, those are the spiritual healers?
Are they?
Yeah, the more fucked up they are,
well,
the more mental issues they have. Those are the ones they believe are the closest to the spirits and to God.
I see.
Or they're, yeah.
As I grew up in Surrey, in a religious home with a very strict father, by 10 years old I was smoking cigarettes. I got into alcohol early. I was hanging with the wrong people. We were forming gangs out in Surrey. We were going to different communities and fighting people, and I was on a bad path. My cousin, Keith Magnuson, may he rest in peace, was my inspiration. He made the National Hockey League. For me, that was so huge. Now I had something that I could be proud of with my family, that the kids in the school would respect, because prior to that I didn't have nothing. And I wasn't a very big person, and so, I had a lot going against me there. And Keith made the National Hockey League, and through his brother Wayne, he had equipment sent to me so that I could play hockey. And I joined hockey, and that changed my life. That put me on a whole different path, a whole different group of friends, a whole different group of things to think about. And if that hadn't happened, I could have ended up down here. I could have ended up, smoking cigarettes for my whole life. Thanks to Keith, I quit smoking when I was 13 years old. I'd been smoking for 3 years. And the day that I went out to try to make hockey, I could skate, because I'd been skating in the flats when they froze over. I was a roller skater early on, and so by the time I was joining a hockey team, I was a pretty good skater, but I couldn't keep up.
I can roller skate.
I felt like I had a steel band wrapped around my chest that I was trying to breathe, and it wouldn't expand. It wouldn't let my lungs expand.
I feel like I've been doing it for 4 years.
As you cough, right?
Yeah.
Stop smoking that cigarette stick that you have in
Yeah,
everybody.
I'm working on
Do
it.
it while you're young.
Made it 4 days.
I quit that very day. I remember exactly where I was in the rec center rink in Surrey, British Columbia, coming around the corner, feeling that feeling, recognizing in that moment that that's what was going on because of cigarettes. And that now I couldn't keep up with these other kids because I had been smoking cigarettes for 3 years. A pack a day. I stole my cigarettes and I smoked a pack a day. So I was on bad tracks, and I'm just saying, I'm just trying to say
Quit smoking.
that have compassion. Yeah, that too. But have compassion. Have great compassion for the people that are struggling with misuse of drugs, other things that they could be addicted to, that they're using to compensate for the trauma that they've experienced in their lives. The people that are struggling in those ways, that are involved in those behaviors and lifestyles, are the abused children of our world. They're because we're all children anyway. It doesn't matter if your trauma happened when you were 40 years old. It doesn't matter when. You're still a child inside, and that's what gets traumatized when trauma happens. And so people's inner child and children get traumatized by a variety of different things, and it's a real struggle to function properly in the world, in the workplace, in relationships, in all these other pursuits of human beings. They are really, really struggling to deal because of trauma that's happened that would be the same for any of us that went through what they went through, being born the way they were. Because we're all born with personalities that are unique, and we don't ask for any of that. Yeah. We just are who we are. And then we're into an environment that we don't choose for ourselves.
And then we're conditioned.
And then we're conditioned in that environment. So, have great compassion for those people that are struggling, the homeless, the ones that don't do well in the workplace, the ones that can't handle relationships, the people that act out and express themselves in ways that we don't think are right. Have great compassion for these people. It could be you. It could be any one of us, And so, yeah, exactly. That's what I've learned for sure. Yeah. Is that there, but for the grace of goodness, go any one of us. We, those of us that aren't struggling, like the people that are struggling here, are just lucky. Yeah. We're just fucking lucky for sure.
Man, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that felt like a segment. Oh man. I used to have structure to the show much more than we do now, and although I never really have enough things planned, I'm not able to prepare enough for the shows. It's just kind of we come and we talk and we talk about
that's
it.
Good,
and
man.
We talk about it.
It's chill that way.
It's kind of chill that way.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I maybe would like a little more structure one day down the road.
Yeah.
This is just where we're at. Yeah. So why don't we go see what's going on in the RV?
And it's still light out there. Look at that.
Oh my goodness.
5:20. Yes.
Wow, because did I cover everything?
I think so.
I think I got it. All right. We'll take this guy. We're taking the cake?
No.
Coming back for the cake?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no appearance for the cat.
This, you wanted to show this off then? You wanted to show this off. What was this?
Well, this is what I think that the icon on the legal weed should be. I mean, there's certainly no need to warn people to stop with respect to THC. Not like that. It's your public service, John. You're doing a fine job. This is the Healing Wave Cannabis Substitution Project RV. We're located just right outside, pretty much where the store was, and we're now going into our 14th week here. We got a crew inside there that are helping people get access to what they need with respect to cannabinoids. We understand that it's a very necessary thing to have cannabis as an easy option for people down here. There's easy option for all the other hard, dangerous drugs that are available on street corners all around us. And this is what has to happen here. We've been demonstrating this for now 4 years, that there needs to be easy access to cannabis down here on the downtown east side. And we still don't have approval from public servants to do that, but nonetheless, we will still continue to do it despite not having permission and despite having a lot of obstacles put in our way and harassment about not doing it and all the other things that go on with us here. Despite all of that, and despite whatever's coming in the future, if it's not licenses, it doesn't matter. We can't stop doing what we're doing. We've been helping people here for a long time. These people rely on us in major ways, and there would be so many people harmed in such significant ways if we were just to stop doing what we're doing. So we can't, and we won't, and it'd be nice if our public servants would just allow us to do what we need to do down here to help people. That would be really cool, and it's very difficult for people around here to understand why that's an issue. We get asked that all the time. They come and see us in the RV. They know we have the store. Like, why is this going on like this? Why can't you guys be back in the store? We say, well, we're just waiting for Health Canada or the federal health minister to give us an exemption even to allow us to do what we're doing and eventually hopefully give us licenses to do what we're doing. But it's very difficult for people to understand why that's happening. It's difficult for me to understand that as well. The application we put into the federal government was so simple, so easy. It was a no-brainer. It was impossible to say no to that. Hey, look, we're doing what we're doing. We've been doing it for years. We're saving people's lives. We haven't hurt anybody, and please let us do that. I mean, it's that simple. There's been no harm done. We've demonstrated it in such profound ways. We've given out, I estimated it the other day, it was over 14 million milligrams of high-dose edibles that we've given out in 4 years to the people in this community. Nobody's been harmed by that. So why would that be a problem? Many people have been helped by that. So many people are so thankful and testify how great it's been for them to have that. So, you know, it's a no-brainer. Why isn't it really simple? The only reason it isn't really simple is because the government concocted a scheme to take over and monopolize the distribution of cannabis, and they just don't want anybody else interfering with that by selling cannabis that's better than them for prices that are way cheaper than them. They don't want that to happen, even though that's a reasonable thing to happen. No reason why that can't happen. We've been doing it for 4 years. It's easy to provide cannabis at better prices than the government is and better cannabis than they have. It's easy to do that. So why won't they let us do it? We're saving people's lives during an epidemic of death. Why won't they let us do it? I don't get it. Our friends and customers, they don't get it. We'll just see what happens. Maybe tomorrow we'll get our permission to have our low barrier access cannabis store and serve the community that needs it so badly, where we got drugstores on all these corners and we got all the alcohol distributors all over the place. You can buy cigarettes probably on 4 different corners down there. All these things are available easily, not a problem. but you want to try to actually provide the best thing that people could have, the thing that helps them the most, the safest thing of all these things that I mentioned by a country mile. And that's a problem. Well, that's just an example of how corrupt our society is, how corrupt our government has become. And we need to do something about this, folks, because I'll tell you, when you can't save lives without your public servants getting in the way and saying, oh, no, you can't do that because you're going to cost us money, then we need to do something about a world where that's going on. And that's what's going on here. So we're here doing it anyway. We're not going to stop. And let's go visit the crew. And Ted's here. Hey, come on over here, Ted. We mentioned Ted earlier. Ted was the original guy that came and was my right-hand man at Van Du, making it all happen for me. And when he had to go, he really made it happen he's still making it happen, because he brought his friend Andrew in and he told me, don't worry, Andrew's the guy, he'll look after it for you, and he certainly did. So thank you, Ted.
I am very glad that I could contribute.
Well, I'm glad you contributed too.
I'm still here.
And we're still here. And you're a big part of us still being here.
Thank you.
Like, you know, you were integral in the beginning. I mean, it was quite a task that all of a sudden happened with a whole bunch of people lining up. I mean, we had to figure out how to give all this stuff out.
Yes, we did.
And yeah, you were really good at looking after all those other little areas, so I could just focus on whatever was the main thing that I had to do at the time. And then you provided Andrew. So.
Yeah, and he was the best.
He was the best. I have to send him home. He would just like stay here all the time doing this, you know, if I didn't send him home. He's such a dedicated guy.
I am so glad he's here. And Jen.
Jen as well,
and
yeah.
Jen especially.
Andrew manages the CSP for us. He's the guy in charge basically of that. And he's got that down pat. He knows exactly when it's been 4 days since you've been here and how to get your 420 million. He makes people choose what works for them, and he documents everything. We write down everything that everybody takes. When they take their 420 milligrams, it's a variety of different things, and we write it all down so we can chart what's working for people, what they're choosing, and that's really powerful as well. So he's doing a great job of all of that. And then Jen as well, she manages the Healing Wave side of things, where for people that can't get into the program, and for those people that, you know, quite frankly wouldn't be part of the program, they're not about to say, hey, look at me, I'm a drug user, I'm addicted, and I want to be part of a program to get off that shit. There's a lot of people like that are, you know, a little bit embarrassed about what's going on in their life. They don't want their family or their friends or their community to know what's going on. And so they need to have a place where they can just come and pick up some high-dose edibles or some cannabis to help them, you know, whatever they want to use it for, and not have a big deal made about it, not have to even show ID in many cases. That's a big barrier for some people. They either don't have ID or they're very concerned about providing it. And that's a vulnerable population as well, especially down here. And they need to be able to get access as well. So these are very, very important things that are necessary to help this community. And you know, that's why we're doing this.
Really special.
So yeah, thanks, Ted. I appreciate that. Well, it's really good to see you coming down here on the 4th anniversary.
I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
We got a cake inside. We'll share some of that with you when we get back in there.
Thank you. All right.
Let's go over
All right.
here.
Yep. Go on.
See what's going on in here. The secret knock. What happens? We used to have signs that said this is the CSP access door.
Morning,
Hello
Mike.
there. How's it going?
It's going great.
Am I in time for my 420?
Sure you are. Come on in, brother.
Good morning for British. So I just wanted to come in this way this time to let you have a look at what we got going on. Can we have a little bit of light? That one there looks really bright. The one above the... So come on in here, folks. This is our CSP area of the RV, and we got a whole bunch of different things here.
Yeah. All right, then I'll be back.
Yeah. So people come.
Someone.
No, it's Ted.
Oh, that's Ted at the door. That's all right. He'll be back.
Yeah, we got quite a bit.
Shout out to Jade Ridge. She supplied us with these caps.
75 milligram caps.
Yeah, that's very powerful as well. Big thank you to her.
We've got 3 different kinds of cookies here from Mary.
Yeah.
We've got 3 different kinds of gummies, 4 different kinds of gummies. We've got caramels from Robert, 150 milligrams. And what else we got?
You got some cream, I think.
Yes, we do. We have some cream.
Yeah.
And that right there is cooking butter from Mary.
Yeah. So Mary makes this butter up that she makes her cookies with, and people can get that as well if they like, if they want to do their own baking. We have seeds, so people can grow their own plants. And
Yeah, right here.
this one, okay.
The salve.
That's the salve.
People love the salve.
Don't get the salve mixed up with the cooking cream, although
No.
it probably wouldn't matter too much. But
We have somebody that takes the cooking butter and makes cookies out of it.
we got these snacks here as well.
Yeah. Different snacks right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are our mini donuts.
Yeah, and these ones are 125 milligrams.
Wow, per pack. So
It says
that's
125 milligrams, so
Yeah.
that's 120 milligrams.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's going on with the
Yeah.
CSP side. Let's
And
go
I've had
back out.
28 people on the CSP today.
28 people today so far.
Yeah.
So you have your movie star appearance. The hair and makeup people did a fabulous job on you. I can't say as much for George.
25.
How you doing, George?
Doing fine.
Good. What are you rolling, Jen?
It's a mix of weeds.
A little bit more
A
than
mix. I like mixes.
Well, I didn't use the very first line. So,
So how's your day then?
Relatively busy.
it's been good.
It's got
Very busy.
busier at the end of the day, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people looking for the free cookies and free joints.
Yeah.
Yes, always.
Yes, we
Always.
have people
Everybody
like that
loves their
too, but-
cookies.
Yes, we do, but we help the people.
And
We're
you
here
had
for the
you've
people.
had 28 people so far for CSP
I've
today.
had 28.
Okay.
And everybody loves it.
Yeah, of
They
course.
love it.
Well, it's a good selection of stuff. I mean, especially once you get used to taking it, and you must look forward to coming to get your 420, eh?
And people have got off. They've told me they haven't done any crack for quite a while now, and they haven't done the heroin for a while because we help them, right?
Yep, that's the
We
idea.
help them in any way we can. We even help them by listening.
Of course.
Sure we do.
Did we had anything of note over the last week with respect to that kind of thing? Putting you on the spot. We don't rehearse any of this, by the way. I don't even tell them what I'm going to ask them. I just put them on the spot. But Jen does a blog, a daily blog about what goes on here, and includes some of the stories of some of the things that happen every day. There's interesting people that say interesting things, and you do all of that. How can they find your blog?
It's on Facebook. It's on the Cannabis Substitution Project.
So
page.
that's the place to find it.
Yeah,
You
but
don't want-
I share it to my own page too.
Okay.
Jen Nelson.
Jen Nelson on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
This picture of me smoking a joint, I believe, is my profile picture.
So what's one of your key memories from the last 4 years of the CSP?
Oh God.
From standing in the lineup originally to being in charge of the distribution here.
That's
$1
hard.
gram left.
My goodness.
Well, give us a few then. What sort of things stand out in your mind that?
People that. Barry, my friend that passed away recently.
Right.
I was bringing him some of the edibles, and I brought him some of the oil, and he said he felt it shrinking his tumor. He said it was like magic.
And how long have you been helping him?
Oh, but goodness gracious.
And
That
he
was
just-
for at least a few months because I was going to see him in palliative care at St. Paul's for at least a couple months.
Okay.
And then he moved to the hospice over here. I was going to see him there for a while as well. And then just kind of got too busy, and when I did try to see him, either he wasn't there or he was asleep,
You have a nice
so it
evening.
just didn't work out. But he knows I cared about him.
Yeah.
Howard told me he said I was one of his favorite people. So.
Nice. Yeah, we were talking earlier in the show about friends that have passed, and
Well, another one. I shared a memory recently, actually, on Facebook of one of the days where after the CSP, I had gone to the Getaway for snack and saw. You remember Daniel Birdman, the little scooter?
Yeah, I was thinking about him last night. I was thinking about all the people that have passed from Van Du last night.
And I saw him and asked how he was doing, and he immediately started crying, telling me how much pain he was in. And I just so happened to have some packages in my bag, so I pulled some stuff out for him.
He was really cool. He'd make the bird noises all the time.
But he was like trembling trying to open the stuff, so I opened everything for him, and he just like wolfed everything down. Yeah, put a big smile on his face and give him a big hug. Yeah, I miss him. He was a good man.
Yeah, he was.
We've lost some good people.
We helped them though,
Oh, definitely. We helped ease their pain at least a little bit while they were still here.
He was there every time, and I know he enjoyed coming to the table and getting his stuff and making his bird calls for us.
And he was one of the ones that, like, there was people, like, as much as we like that people don't have to line up really outside for hours anymore, there are people that miss that.
We talked about that earlier in the show.
Okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's a lot of people that, that built a community there. A lot of people made friends, and
it was a routine for some people.
That's how I met Bob.
Yeah.
And Bob has become a big part of my life. Bob and his family, right?
Yeah. Well, his whole family has. They've kind of adopted you, I think.
Yep.
So that's it. She can only get adopted once. I know there's a lot of other people out there that are trying to adopt her as well, but she's already been taken. She's part of the Bob's family.
But yeah, no,
you do get a lot of people that want to adopt you here, but we won't go into that.
I had a few stalkers.
It happens when you're a really nice person, People are attracted to nice people, and they're constantly trying to take you out.
Please help.
What's that, George? You got to share that with the audience.
He's trying to whisper that I beat them.
Should hold up a sign one of these days that says, "Please help."
Yes.
I'm an angel. What are you talking about? There's lights glowing above me. I'm an angel.
Yes. George and Andrew are actually captive here, and we torture them on a regular basis.
Yeah, they seem so miserable.
Yeah, well, I have a job to do over here, and she works right here. So I don't know
and we're a great team.
So what does George do then?
He whines.
Somebody's got to be the negative one, right?
Somebody's got to be the one to poke.
We call him
George. George takes over for CSP all the time. Oh, damn, not the noodling.
Poke you too. Poke you too in a minute.
No, George, he takes over CSP.
Oh, here we go. This is how we really poke each other. There's a lot of fun that we have in the
one happy family.
In the RV. RV stands for reefer van, by the way.
Oh, the van has so many names. The Scooby-Dooby van, the Healing Wave van,
CSP van, the marijuana. The marijuana mobile. I get lots of people asking me different things about it. It's going to be famous.
Today, I don't know if Mary already mentioned it or not, but she was on a video call with her sister walking around showing her how sad it is down here. The
right, yeah, she told me she did that.
And she had told some guys in the alley about the cookies and stuff. And she's like, try some cookies. She's like, go to the weed van. And a guy literally came over, still foil in hand, but I heard you guys have weed cookies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're like, yeah, here you go, man. I have to.
You would think everybody would know by now, but I guess there's still people that don't.
There's a lot of people that know, but word is still spreading.
Yeah.
This is the start of the 14th week. Can you believe that?
What,
I've been
in
sitting in this RV for 14 weeks doing this. That's like 3 months and a half.
And we love our job.
Well, I like it better in the store. You're happy here because you can stand up in this, right?
I'm happy.
Well, in the van is easier to hotbox than the store is.
I love marijuana, so whatever I'm doing with marijuana is great. And
so what you're saying is there's pros and cons to both.
Yes.
All right, this is good.
They're both great.
Look on the bright side.
There's a possibility of us blowing up in here from having to use propane.
No, you're not going to blow up from the propane.
We're still helping people.
Don't say that.
We're still getting the message out there that marijuana
Knock
is
on
the way
wood
to
that
go.
we don't, wherever the fuck there's some wood.
People still call us heroes.
Yeah.
They do.
Well,
I see people on the street and they say
heroes,
thanks.
angels.
You guys are.
All the time. I see them on the street and they say thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, we know what good we're doing here, that's for sure.
We're doing great.
And those people that are debating whether or not we should be licensed, Health Canada, you should come down here and spend some time, maybe. Come down here and check it out, see what we're doing, check out the reactions of the people.
Yeah.
Ask those people, how it helps them, what's going on. And if you're really going to make such a crucial life-saving decision or life and death decision about whether or not we can or can't help save these people, please come down and have a look first.
Well, we're not even
spend
just
some
about
time.
weed.
Don't just
clothing,
come and go. Come
too.
and sit for a while and talk to people on the street that come here. And on any day, you will encounter a handful of people at least during your time here that will bring you to tears and cause you to realize that this has to happen, that there needs to be stores that people can go to and get cannabis that works for them at prices that work for them. This needs to be here. So, I mean, I know we're hotboxing the thing and we're all high and stoned and everything, and that's the whole, stoner perception. But the real underlying thing is that we're bringing compassion and good health and better sleep and less pain and so much more of real serious value to the people that really need it, that are here and in other places across Canada, that, don't let the stupid stoner, look at those people get high and look at all this smoke in there and and buy into all that reefer madness that happened for decades, that have stigmatized the use of cannabis, that have resulted in all of this. It's time to have a real rethink about, what works and what doesn't for people that are struggling, and what a free society should be about. People are just people. People have needs. People have wants and desires. And they should be allowed to pursue those things, and not have people that they're paying, called public servants, come along and say, oh no, but you can't do that, or no, you can't do that. This is wrong, and this is how deadly wrong it is that we have to defy law enforcement, we have to break laws and act without permission, because people will die if we don't, and we're at odds with what are the people that are supposed to be working for us and for our communities.
Well, especially when pharmaceuticals, which is what they seem to prefer to have people on, kill people and have all kinds of ridiculous side effects. Like, my mom died from prescription medication. Like,
yeah.
Why is that more okay than us smoking a natural plant? I don't understand.
Well, it's because the pharmaceutical industrial complex that runs the show here with respect to what doctors are and what we can use and have.
I know, I've had doctors prescribe me cannabis. I've had doctors be all for it, but there's nowhere to get that prescription filled. There's nowhere to go and be like, yeah, I'd like a, half ounce of weed
But
for
the
free,
reason that
medically.
you're looking for is because there's just huge powers involved in this that don't want to give it up, and don't want people to just grow their own herbal medicine and not give them trillions of dollars in the end.
That's why we continue to fight.
And well, we have to, as people.
Because it's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to be on pharmaceutical shit if I prefer to be on something much safer for me that does not have side effects, except maybe the munchies.
Yeah, people just need to be able to choose. They need to be able to make choices for themselves and not have interference by people who really don't have their best interest in mind. I mean,
just as much as people can choose to get married or stay single, we should be allowed to choose weed or choose not to.
And especially once you're out of the range of your parents, like when you've grown out of that and matured to the point where now you're your own human being. I mean, nobody has the right to tell you can't do what you want if you're not hurting somebody else. And it's just really
it should
wrong.
be anyway, but unfortunately the world does not run logically.
Well, it runs logically according to the actual drivers, which are greed and corruption and for money and power.
That's not what I consider logic.
But I'm saying that there's a reason why this is going on. Like, this has all happened. You can see why we have the issues that we have, is because there's a business ethics involved in society that doesn't care about the human ethics of how people feel and what their needs are and what their rights are, and that is at real odds with itself. Like, these people that are only involved in the ethics of business and money.
But see, I've said for years, I think the entire world needs to rethink how they value money.
That's why you and I are on the same page.
Money should not be so valuable. Money should not be the be-all, end-all. Like,
well, money is just a symbol. Money in itself is just a symbol for all that it represents.
But it causes a lot of fucking problems. Let's put it that way.
Well, the pursuit of money,
even just to get your bare necessities, housing and food.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The pursuit of that money is where the ethics are that are at odds with human ethics. The ethics involved in making sure that the shareholders don't lose money, and the decisions that get made because of those needs go right against.
I kind of hope something goes wrong in their lives and they accidentally end up homeless. Like, lots of people. Well, let them see.
You got a mean streak, girl.
I personally think all politicians should have to be on welfare. You're going to claim that that's enough money to live on? Then live on it.
I think that the prohibitionists that have actively worked to oppress my rights should all be hung by their toes till they die. So I got a mean streak for those people
and
too.
Cats
but
pot them and...
we could go on about the torture that should happen to people because these are heinous crimes.
Yes.
These are seriously heinous crimes. You know?
Nobody should be sleeping on the fucking streets, on the dirty fucking streets in the fucking cold.
Yeah.
Like, the things that are considered bare necessities should not be out of reach for anybody.
I know.
Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
I know.
And this isn't, like, as ridiculous as it sounds, this isn't Africa! Like, there should not be homeless fucking people, there should not be people in squalor. Like,
and it's even worse
this
than
is one
that.
of the richest fucking cities in Canada.
These policies that you're talking about that don't allow people to have easy access to what the basic human needs results in people that struggle so hard with their health so compromised that they're dying.
Oh, most people can't even afford a dentist.
They're dying. Exactly. Their feet are rotten. Their sores don't heal. Their teeth are bad.
I don't even have my own teeth because I can't afford a
sleep.
dentist.
They can't eat good food because their teeth are rotten. It just goes on and on and on. These people are dying, and we want to help them. That's what we want to do. We say, hey, this plant, this flower, when dried and consumed, can put a smile on your face even with pain. It can help you get your mind off of the things that are depressing you so badly that you can't sleep at night. It can help you do so much. This flower will help you. And you're dying, and here. And yet there's some fucking dude standing there going, no, you can't be doing that.
You can't have things that are
You can't give that, you can't save that person with that flower. You can't do that.
No, here, buy some
Who the
cigarettes. and
fuck
some
are these
alcohol and
people? Seriously.
Poison
Like,
yourselves.
it's just like, you know, it's
I'm
just
really,
so
I'm really
insane
proud
here.
that I'm trying to quit smoking cigarettes. I barely drink alcohol anymore. Like, maybe a couple times a year. Maybe.
I have a Chi-Chi
Like-
twice a year if I can find one.
I don't even, what's that?
A Chi-Chi is, yeah, for those who don't know, a little education on alcohol here. It's a drink that's quite popular in the tropics, in like Hawaii and places like that. It's actually a pina colada.
Okay.
Same as a pina colada, but instead of using rum, you use vodka.
Oh.
So you don't really taste the alcohol. That's the difference. And so, you know, twice a year, if I'm celebrating something, if I can get one, I will have one Chi-Chi. But, you know, that's just me.
And
I'm
so,
not
like,
saying that's the right amount
And I
to
admit,
consume.
like, I used to drink quite a bit. Like, when I was on higher doses of my pain meds, I was, like, you're not supposed to drink with those. Most people do. Well, honestly.
Most people you know, anyway.
Well, I know a lot of people that
There you go. Well, you never know.
But,
You'd have to do a survey.
but the reason is like, you kind of get more of an effect. It amplifies whatever, you know, and yeah, like, that's not good for you, obviously, and it took me a while to finally realize that, you know, but like, the more cannabis I've had in my life, the less I've needed all that other shit.
So what we haven't talked about on the show really is the whole prohibition and what that does. Because when you don't have easy access to things, when it becomes to the point of restricted and prohibited, then there's a whole other set of behaviors that kick in and a whole bunch of other dynamics
Yeah, you
that happen
shouldn't.
there.
You shouldn't have to buy weed
Because
in a dark, fucking, dirty alley.
What you're saying is look, I'm doing something I know I shouldn't do for myself. It's not very healthy. I got to stop doing this. But what you don't need is for some fucking government bully to come along and say, oh, well, okay, you can't have it then. You know.
Well, then I'd be like, well, fuck you. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, you know. That's what I mean.
Well, like when you're a kid and you're not allowed to drink yet, or most people start drinking and smoking underage. You're told you're not allowed to. Oh yeah, you want to bet? I'll find a way.
I'll tell you. When
I drank underage. I smoked underage.
when somebody comes along and says you can't do that,
Wait, what
you
the
are
fuck
you are instantly a child again. You are instantly back the way in that mindset that you have as a child of, oh yeah,
What,
well,
man?
who the fuck are you?
Watch
you know,
me.
watch me. I know. I know. That's what prohibition does to people. It absolutely increases demand, and especially amongst young people, rebellious people, you know. So yeah, it doesn't work. It shouldn't be done. But it's just, man, oh man, how many times am I gonna have to get on my horse and get on my pulpit here and say, how fucking wrong is this? Look at this. People are dying. Public servants that are supposed to be helping us are stopping us from helping them. This is corrupt. This is wrong. It's all about money and power. And what the fuck? When is it going to end? I don't know. I'm hoping.
I feel like a broken record, too.
I do. I feel like a broken record. I sound like a broken record. I'm sure.
We find different ways to say the same.
Well, I just can't stop because it's never less crazy, right?
No.
Like, if it would stop being so crazy, maybe I could stop, but I can't stop. It's never less crazy. I don't wake up...
with how many people we have telling us literally every fucking day
Oh, I know.
how much the cookies are helping them, or how much whatever they're getting is helping them get sleep, helping them with pain.
If I had $1 for every person that ever said to me, since I quit my job to be an activist, don't stop. Don't stop. I've had so many people say to me, hey man, I love what you're doing, don't stop.
Or when people forget that we're closed on Mondays, like one guy came today and he said, you guys had me worried yesterday, I thought you were gone. Like the board was up and I'm like, well, did you come between 11 and 7? And I forgot that Damien was like, it was Monday yesterday. Oh yeah, we weren't open.
Yeah.
So, even I forget sometimes. But, you know.
Yeah, no, I've had way too many people, and people that I love and respect have told me, don't stop doing what you're doing. And I can't let it go. I never wake up a day any less pissed off about how wrong this is. You know, this whole thing, not just our situation in our quest for the
we're
cannabis store, but this whole corruption of our system. The fact that we've got public servants that are taking our money as payment to work for us, and they're working for some other corporate elite rich fucking group that are making rules that are hurting us in the process and costing us money. Fuck that.
What really sucks too is, like, obviously it's not only provincially, because there are people fighting this fucking fight in every province.
Yep.
And in every fucking state,
of course,
fighting for the fucking right to treat their children, to treat themselves, to treat their fucking parents, treat whoever the fuck they love, and are concerned about their health, and don't want them on ridiculous medications that come with 50 fucking thousand side effects that might even kill you.
It's the fight for freedom. And the fight for freedom has been going on for a very long time, and until we are free, it will not stop. It will not stop. People can't stop fighting for their freedom. That's exactly what we're talking about when we said, you know, you're instantly a child, or what it's like when you're a child and you're told, hey, you can't do that, and it doesn't make sense to you, and you're like, fuck you.
Don't stick a fork in the socket, why not?
Like, let the kids learn their lessons the hard way. It's better that way sometimes, and sometimes not. Sometimes not. Don't let them put forks in their sockets. You have crazy advice sometimes. But seriously, the fight for freedom will not end. It cannot end, because as human beings, it's a base need. It's like air, water, food, and love. It's a base need. We need to feel free. When we're not free, we're not okay about it. And
I can't even count how many medications I have gotten off of, thanks to having a lot more cannabis in my life.
You and a million and millions and millions of other people.
I know.
Yeah.
And I wish that would finally be proof enough for the powers that be, but they don't seem to want the fucking proof.
Well,
it's there, but
the proof is in your statement. They don't seem to want it, right? Like,
as much as they've seen it, they don't want to accept it.
Because they're making a whole whack of money, and they have a whole lot more power where it is right now. And we are a threat to that. The legalization of cannabis is a serious threat to the power structure that exists.
Funeral homes should be the only fucking people profiting off death. It should not be our fucking governments. It should not be.
And so that's why we have to fight it, and that's why we're here with our AK-47s, or is it 48? I forget what we have, but
48.
The AK-48.
But
you know, we're rebels, and we're fighting for freedom, and that's what we're doing here.
I didn't realize that right
because
then.
We have
said it out loud. Like, funeral homes should be the only ones profiting off death.
Yeah.
Why are governments allowed to? Why are pharmaceutical companies allowed to? Why are they allowed to fucking kill people with their products and still make fucking millions and millions of fucking dollars?
I know.
How's life being 18?
It's fantastic.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You want a cameo appearance on the THC show?
I have not.
No, do you want one?
Do I want one?
We're broadcasting live. We're live streaming right now on Pot TV.
You're on Pod
And
TV.
you know, you could tell us what you think of our little project here if you want.
Honestly, I love it. Y'all are great. Y'all are amazing. Amazing.
Does it help you?
Everything. Absolutely.
What does it help you with?
You and my mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
me and my mom.
You and your mom both, eh?
Yeah, they both come down a lot.
Very happy to help you. Cool.
We both have chronic pain disorders, so
I see.
cannabis definitely helps.
Right? How much do you use a day? Well, it's important. It's important.
She can't afford as much as she needs.
It's important because the government has it available, but it's not very cheap. So it's important to understand how much.
That's why I come here.
Right, of course, and that's why I asked you how much you're using.
Cheaper stuff is better.
Yeah.
And better stuff, cheaper is even better yet.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
No, y'all are such a positive influence in my life. Love you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's what's going on here in the Healing Wave CSPRV for the 14th week now. We're here helping people in the neighborhood that need help. It's been quite the journey. I'm very, very thankful to so many people that have made it happen. 4 years since we first really started the CSP at Van Du there. That's a very long time, and there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the meantime. But mostly there's a lot of people that have contributed to what we're doing here. This has been an absolute community effort involving so many wonderful, good people. The project has attracted the most compassionate and generous people that I could have ever imagined in my life. It's hard for me to be a cynic when I know so many good people that really put their heart and soul into just helping other people selflessly. And I personally cannot thank any of you anywhere near enough for all the help that I've received over the years in getting to where we are here. So, you know, pat yourselves on the back and have a bit of warmth in your heart. You've done a lot of good. This project is doing a lot of good. The 14 million plus milligrams of high dose edibles that we've distributed in 4 years have resulted in thousands of people bettering their lives and feeling good where they otherwise wouldn't. And you people that have helped us are directly responsible for that. And like I say, there's no way I can thank you enough. Where we go from here is also extremely important. This is not just about how much good we've done in the community, but it's about what this project can result in the future with respect to low barrier access cannabis shops right across Canada and ultimately obviously around the world. This needs to be available in every community around the world.
So people functional, valuable members of society.
Exactly. So we'll report back next week. Maybe by next week we'll have our exemption.
Yeah, you never know.
We will see. In the meantime, there's other pot TV shows that will educate you and entertain you. Monday is the 420 Lifestyle Show, Carly Marley, BC Bud Gal, more fun than you can have on a pot TV show. On Wednesdays, Greg Williams, Marijuana Man from Under the Influence, his unique perspective after so many years of being at the forefront of what's going on in the pursuit for legalization. On Thursday, BC Bud Gal is back with Morning Glory around 10 a.m. Wake and Bake with BC Bud Gal. On Fridays, Johnny B has his How's It Growing show. And lots of good stuff going on that show as well. There may be an appearance one day down the road again of High Noon. We'll see how that works out, but Boss Lissa is busy doing other things, and we'll be back when she's ready. And Sundays is a day to just take off and you know, see what shows you missed, or be kind, see some people, whatever it is that we're doing these days. See them through Zoom, I guess, you know, whatever we have to do. And Tuesdays I'll be back with another episode of the THC show. I want to thank my producer Neil for all the fine work in making this show happen. I think this is like our 74th episode. I can't even believe that much time has passed and we've done that much. But none of it would have been possible without a Neil. Cannabis Culture for allowing me the platform and for all the good work that they do and have done over the years in protesting bad laws and providing access or helping people find access to cannabis. And that's what it's all about, is just you know, the pursuit of freedom to reasonably access this naturally growing herb that people want to have that helps them in their life. It's just one of the silliest things that you could imagine, except it's one of the most costly and damaging thing that's ever happened in our world. And we're trying to put an end to that, and you can help us do that. If you want to help us in our pursuit of low barrier access cannabis shops, you can write letters or send emails or make telephone calls to your local members of government, law enforcement, or at the federal level to Patty Haydu's office or Health Canada. Nicely, gently urge them to help us and do it in a, well, it's too late to say a timely manner anymore, isn't it? You know, really. Health Canada did tell us in December that they would probably have it for us in early January, which has come and gone. But
maybe they meant to say June.
We're hoping any day. We're hoping tomorrow now, because already it's past closing time in Ottawa. But maybe tomorrow will be the day that we get our permission.
We hope every day.
We will see. In the meantime, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to other people. Kindness doesn't cost anything. And even if you completely disagree with another person, there's no reason why you both can't be kind to each other in the process. Kindness is one of the...
agree to disagree and shake hands.
And still be kind. There's no need to not be kind. People believe what they believe. They come by it honestly. They've had their experience.
And some are willing to have an open mind and hear other sides. Others are not. That's just how it is.
But however you do it nicely. And no matter what you're doing, of course, always the most important thing in a world so serious that you can't take it too seriously, have as much fun as you can.